Thank you very much. I don't know you know about Entrust Data Card, but you rightly mentioned you connected with cards because card is there in Entrust Data Card. So Entrust Data Card actually manufacture systems which can personalize any debit, credit, prepaid, or passport, or driving license, or any kind of citizen card, along with the software which is into PKI, digital certificate. So our target audiences are, B2B businesses, but as a marketer, I worked in B2C and B2B. So I would like to touch upon actually one thing which is quite relevant, and I would pick up from Rashna's comment on GTC, actually, go to customer. So it's no more go to market, it's more of a G2C, go to customer. And I was talking to one of the CMOs in the IT company, and he mentioned that, hey, customer is a king now. Customer is driving the business. Business is not driving, customer experience. And he also mentioned further that customer is a Buddha. So Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Go back to the customer and understand actually the customer behavior. Definitely that is going to form in terms of a big data or a data, but data is data. You have to have some kind of analytics behind the data to get a real intelligence. The intelligence which can work in terms of your product improvement, in terms of your branding, in terms of your product positioning. So definitely, I mean, the customer is in the core. Second thing, the second use case which I wanted to touch upon, the Apple Pay was launched with the Apple 6, and how many of you know that most of the transactions are happening either on Apple Watch or Apple 6? Anybody has any idea? On Apple Watch or Apple 6? No. So it's not on Apple 6, it is on Apple Watch. 80% of the transactions are happening on Apple Watch, because it gives it's a fantastic user experience. It's a frictionless transaction. It is a consumer behavior. It's a customer experience. Because for Apple 6, you have to open an application. You have to put your biometric for second factor of authentication. In Apple Watch, it's frictionless. You just touch, tap, and go. There is no middle layer in between. So it's all about the customer experience and build the solution around that customer experience. So this is what I wanted to share from my side.
Very well said. I think frictionless customer experience is the key point. So just a personal experience, I was advisor for a startup in the payment space which recently had an exit. While we had to name that, it was also doing contactless payments. The only name we could think of was Asan Pay. It had to be easy. So that's the only name that came up to the mind, and it had to be frictionless. So as marketers, at the end of the day, simplicity counts. But simplicity comes into the foreground, for which a lot of analytics has to be on the background. No better person than to talk about that by Kunal from SAS, market leader in analytics and business intelligence.
Thanks, Sairam. So I think I'm just going to pick up on what Ajay just mentioned. So increasingly what we are seeing is that we are living in a connected world. We are getting more and more connected, and we already have, and things are becoming smart. So we have smart mobiles, everyone in the room probably has a smartphone, and now we've got the introduction of smart TVs as well. Right. So, and in fact, if you were to read IDC's recent report, it says that today there are 10 billion devices which are already connected to the internet, and going forward to 2020, we are looking at something like 30 billion devices getting connected. Now, what does all of that mean for us, as marketers or even as business champions? It means that we are today, everything can be measured, everything can be actually tapped into. Now, do we really need all of that data? May not be. I don't think so personally. Yet that itself is a gold mine. So how do you really reach out and separate the riffraff and get what's really important for you as a brand, as a marketer. So that's where actually analytics has a role to play. And I remember seeing this example where there is a treadmill company in the US, and they manufacture this treadmill, and they also have an app on the mobile. And every single person who's running on the treadmill can actually download an app, keep a personalized program and track it. So what happens is that you're running on the treadmill for 10 minutes, and the treadmill automatically collects data about you, right? How fast is your pulse? How are you performing? Vis-a-vis yesterday? Are you meeting your goals? And so on and so forth. And this very information is actually used and captured by the app, and then also sent across to your physician, right? So he can also monitor it real time as to if this particular person has a problem, for example. At the same time, the treadmill also sends out a signal to the manufacturer saying that, hey, there's a wear and tear on one of the parts, so you may want to come in and replace it before it becomes more expensive. So the basic point is now devices are getting connected, and information is actually getting transmitted from one to another, one device to another. And I think we as marketers need to slowly come to that realization on how we really need to use that data to our advantage. At the same time, I think slowly and steadily what I have seen happening in India as well, that organizations are actually realizing that data is very important. It's an asset. And in fact, today, coming from the fact that we're actually living in a digital economy where the likes of, let's say, the largest taxi company in the world, Uber, for example, has no taxis, right? The biggest media company in the world is probably Facebook, right? And produces no content at all. So if you're looking at that, we are actually living very much in a digital economy. And if we are living in a digital economy, I think data is the new oil for this particular economy. And I think it's all upon different brands and how we actually pulling the data that is actually most relevant for us. So I think that's my 2 cents on that.
Since we spoke about a lot of data, just sample this. Today, soccer clubs can actually bring in strikers at crucial moments of the matches based on the analysis of the heartbeats and the physical aspect ratios. Imagine what marketers can do. That's the power of data from a technology standpoint. Tesla analyzes 300 million sensor-driven data before taking a call on building their next generation automotive system. So the power of data today is unimaginable. But having said that, marketers have to keep it very, very simple, pragmatic. And then to talk about that, I would have Bratati Ghosh from IBS Software to share some experiences on how they are taking a look at new generation marketing.
So on the topic of keeping it simple, I really love to deal in stories. So when we say it's big picture to big data, I think Mr. Shukla was also talking about how you're almost thinking about, well, do I need a separate chief digital officer? Because it just seems as if the marketing types are more people-friendly. They understand the customer, they're relationship builders, they're awareness generators. To a degree, they understand branding. But there's this new breed of number crunchers and machine learning and recommendation engine designers, So it's like, will these worlds of marketing as a science and marketing as an art form really meet? And if it doesn't, you're in for trouble. In the theme of storytelling, when you say a good marketer needs to understand the audience, how do you make that real for internal and external stakeholders? What I do is I'll tell stories. IBS is a company that deals in the travel, transportation, and logistics industry. So I'll say, well, there's this guy, Mr. Hercules. He has insomnia. He runs an airline called Citius Airline in the town of Olympic. And what is he not sleeping about? Why is he an insomniac? And then we'll say, okay, well, first of all, he's worried about Fortius Air. He's worried about Altius Air. These are his competitors. He's worried about whether his employees are going to be happy. He's worried about whether he's going to gain market share. He's worried about whether the LCCs, the low-cost carriers, are going to take over the traditional airline space. So that's making it real. So you want every employee to think like a marketer because they have to put themselves in the shoes of the audience. Similarly, in the data context, yesterday I went for a morning walk on Juhu Beach. I haven't been to Bombay for several years, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to have something. First I looked for pav bhaji, which was a bit unrealistic at 7 a.m. And then I said, okay, well, there's a dab wala. So I go to the dab wala, right? And he's got this dab and he sizes me up. I know he sizes me up. So he's doing market segmentation at that moment. I've got this funny purse, like a backpack purse. I'm walking a particular way. I'm wearing a particular set of clothes. And I'm coming and asking him a particular type of question. I'm saying, give me a good one. So he immediately takes out a dab, and then there are others walking up, and they say, in a kind of brash, bargaining kind of voice, malai wala do, which is like, the kind of the cream part of the coconut. And there are others who come in and ask, what is the price? He sizes you up, and he actually knows his product extremely well. And he gives every market segment member what they want. Now, where's big data analytics in this? He's taking the full picture of the prospective customer, and he's breaking it down into these tiny, tiny modules. The microprocessor is his brain. We have to do that, and the challenge is, how do you do that in a world where you never see the prospective customer? How do you do that in a world where they are leaving these digital footprints all over your website, all over your LinkedIn site, all over your Facebook site, all over third-party blogs? How do you bring that together and turn the big data into a big picture in your mind? So that's the challenge. And then tools and technology and analytics is just an enabler. It's not something to be worried about.
Thank you. I think to summarize it, I think that's where the systems of insights, thought process, which is a culmination of, you still would need human touch, you still need a lot of technology, and you would also need a lot of champions to disrupt, whether they are the chief digital officers or chief experience officers. At the end of the day, it's a very collaborative space. End this with an example. The disruption the marketplace creates is always unimaginable. The recent floods in Chennai had Ola literally ferry boats. They're doing the business of taxis. They had very instant moments to change what they would do, but reasonably they were successful in terms of reaching out to customers, telling that they're in the world of ferrying passengers, whether they're boats or cabs, doesn't matter. So that is some sort of marketing. With that, I would throw it open for some insights, any questions or perspectives that distinguished audience would like to share. Just summarize before we go to experience what looks like a great lunch. The whole world is moving towards experience, for which I think marketing professionals are destined to rewrite the destiny of the businesses, championing by being creative, by leveraging analytics to power how better experience that you can deliver and yet remain very, very simple in what looks a world driven by application economy. So it got to be very simple. Thanks for being a great audience. Thank you very much.